Hello there and welcome to part 2 of Nazi Britain 2018. I'm Kenny, and to recap on the first program, if you haven't watched it, what we're trying to do here is establish a direct link between the Conservative government here in the UK and the government of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. So in the first program we showed you the philosophy of wipe out your opposition, only it wasn't not a long life situation. It was in fact smearing Ken Livingstone, and also we touched on the fact that the physically disabled are also victims of the Nazis. But just to remind you of what Ian Duncan Smith said about the disabled, and to put it into context of why I believe these are Nazis, just watch this.
Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people.
So there you go, that's Ian Duncan Smith, what he thinks about disabled people. Now to put that in context, I was speaking to Ross over there the other day about this, how Hitler persecuted and butchered not just the physically disabled but also people with mental illness. And to emphasise the point, I'd like you to just watch this film.
The letter approves a program called Acton T4. Its goal was to cut spending by reducing the number of hospitalized patients by any means necessary, which of course meant death. It began in January of 1940 and ended in August of the following year.
The Acton T4 was a secret program devised by Hitler. The aim was to eliminate people with disabilities, people who were considered a burden to society.
Under the program, hospital directors listed patients who they didn't consider to have the right to live. It included mental patients, the disabled, and those who couldn't defend themselves. The program was headquartered in Berlin. There, the data was analyzed, and those who were listed as unproductive were forced out of the hospital. To deal with the logistics, a transportation company was actually started to transport these patients in camouflaged vans. Patients who were considered incurable were taken to abandoned hospitals or prisons, where they would then undergo medical experiments before dying.
People were moved under the false notion that they would be seen by a specialist who could offer better treatment. The family was not told about the transfer. In fact, they would only find out after receiving the death certificate.
Letters like this one describe the suspicious circumstances under which a patient was moved from a hospital named Losa Ernst. It argues that the 13-year-old patient had a bad attitude which led to problems. The reality, though, was very different. Reports now show that patients were deceived. They were told that they would be undergoing a medical checkup, but instead they were experimented on and then killed in what's described as the beginning of gas chambers. It wasn't long before the neighborhood became suspicious.
The smoke would come out, and the facilities were very close to the village, so people could smell the smoke and began to ask what's going on there.
That's when families began writing to the hospitals to ask about their loved ones, sons, nephews, and friends. The suspicion was so widespread that even the Bishop of Munster, Monsignor van Galen, addressed the issue en masse. After some pressure from the community, a year and a half later the program was cancelled, but by that point more than 70,000 people had been killed. The program officially ended in August of 1941. But some health workers continued practicing these methods. In fact, among the victims was a cousin of Benedict XVI, who suffered from Down syndrome. Now, as painful as that chapter was, historians say it's important to remember that period so it's never repeated again.
So there you go, that's proof positive that Adolf Hitler did indeed persecute the physically disabled and the people with mental illness, just like this government are, through their punitive work capability assessments. Now this company up here, Atos, they were originally employed by Ian Duncan Smith in 2010 to carry out work capability assessments. They got it wrong, so they were sacked. They're back again, and they're doing it again. They're up to their old tricks. People are being persecuted badly, and this company, I mean, they're not even British, they're French. They're French. They're a multi-billion euro a year industry, and they're sucking money out of the taxpayers. They don't pay any tax on it. Oh, no. But that's Atos. And this is their attitude towards mental health.
Dealing with someone's physical disabilities is one thing, but what if they have mental health problems? Well, that's something they know all about here at the Maudsley Hospital in South London. In fact, they say they're picking up the tab for a system that has gone badly wrong. Andy King has bipolar disorder. He was already feeling unwell when told he'd have to be reassessed for ESA.
This was quite a blow, actually. I thought perhaps I might lose a big part of my benefit, and so that kind of was a body blow, and that's what resulted partially in me being admitted to the Maudsley in mid-November.
Andy was catatonic and unable to speak.
I was told, whilst I was actually in the Maudsley, that they had assessed me and put me in the work-related activity group round about December.
So you were in hospital?
Yeah. I was actually sectioned under the Mental Health Act, and they put me in the work-related activity group.
The Maudsley has a dedicated welfare team. They appealed the result and won. They say they're now overwhelmed in helping people like Andy fight wrong decisions. That's quite apart from the cost of treating people who feel they've been driven to the brink by dealing with the ESA system.
We're having to call upon the resources of the doctors and nurses and social workers to put everything all together to send off.
And this is all work you wouldn't have done before?
Wouldn't have done it before, no.
Just going through the assessment can be harrowing for many people with mental illness.
We had a lady, she actually had her care coordinator with her. They asked her many different things about her illness. Our client had actually taken several overdoses, and the assessor said to them, well, why aren't you dead?
Why aren't you dead?
Why aren't you dead? And so the client became very distraught at that point. Her care coordinator said, stop the interview.
This is a lady with serious mental health issues?
Serious mental health issues, yes. And the assessor said that if they stopped the interview, the client would lose their benefits straight away.
So you can see their attitude towards mental health is pretty similar to that of Adolf Hitler. It's there for all to hear and all to see. If you can't see that now, then you really need to do some thinking about exactly what Adolf Hitler did get up to, because as we've shown you over 2.5 programmes now, the links are getting stronger. But if you don't believe me about what Atos get up to, watch these 2 films. We've put them back to back, just so you can get an idea of the flavour of what Atos exactly do.
Do you take medication for anything else?
No.
How long have you had depression for?
12 years.
And what did you say your other condition is?
Adjustment disorder.
Right, how long have you had that for?
It's a recent diagnosis that was connected with the depression.
So can I ask you what your qualification is?
Who are you, sorry?
I'm his partner.
Right, why do you need to know that? I've said I'm a healthcare practitioner.
Yeah, but can you tell me what your qualifications are to carry out this medical?
I don't need to tell you my qualifications. I've told you I'm a healthcare practitioner. I'm from a medical grounds.
Yeah, but I mean, Si's got a diagnosis from a psychiatrist.
Right, that's fine. Yeah.
And I just think that it's not fair for you to, you could be anybody really. I'd just like to know what your qualifications are to be carrying out.
Well, I don't have to disclose my qualifications. I'm on a professional board at the end of the day. All you need to know is that I've been approved by the Secretary of State, and I have got medical, background.
But why won't you tell us what your qualifications are?
My qualifications in what? What you're trying to achieve? To achieve that, if I'm dealing with mental health problems, if I deal with that.
Yeah, if you're medically qualified.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Can you tell me what that qualification is?
My qualifications in with the healthcare practitioner. It's a course that we actually take.
Right, so are you a nurse then?
I'm not a nurse. I am from a nursing background.
Right.
But I'm a healthcare practitioner now.
Right.
Okay, okay to carry on. Okay, so you was diagnosed with adjustment disorder. When was that?
That's probably about 9 months ago.
Do you see anybody in your GP at the moment?
Yes.
Who do you see?
A psychiatrist.
How often?
I had an initial appointment earlier this week after being transferred from Salford mental health team.
Right, so you've had one episode at one meeting with the psychiatrist?
At one meeting.
Okay, what date was that?
That was the...
Why do you need to know this?
Because it's questions we ask everybody. It's a functional assessment, this is a medical functional assessment to do with mental or physical, any physical problems that people have. So it's seeing how they function on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
But what I don't understand is if his doctor signs sick notes and his psychiatrist, you know...
Well, the doctor signs lots of sick notes. Things change from the time that sick notes have been signed off. Treatment can change, people who he's seeing can change, conditions can change. So that's why we have to ask these questions.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm not personally having a go at you.
No, I know.
I understand the job that you're doing, but I think, you know, with someone with psychiatric illnesses, it's kind of quite difficult to come in.
I know, we understand that. But we do ask everybody that, you know, we have to ask the same questions. Obviously, we can't ask different questions to different clients. So your psychiatrist, your first meeting was when?
That was since I've been transferred.
Right, when was your first meeting, you know, your first assessment?
The initial assessment was...
In April.
In April?
No, with Manchester. I've been with Salford mental health for 10 years.
Right, okay. I'll just put you with the psychiatrist and then we'll put that in after, that's okay. So your psychiatrist...
So it was at the start of this week.
So this week?
But that was the first consultation with psychiatrist.
Right, okay.
But I had a consultation with the medical team, which would have been about 2 months ago.
Medical team, was that?
The mental health team.
Right. So that would have been your first consultation?
Well, no, because I came out of hospital.
Right, okay. And you know to the mental health team before?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was you in hospital for?
Safety.
Right, you was admitted to hospital?
Yes.
When was that?
April.
April last year?
Yeah.
Which hospital was that?
April. Central Road.
How long was you in there for, Simon?
Just a week this time.
And was you admitted, can you tell me a little bit of why you was admitted?
Suicidal.
Right, okay. Did you do anything to yourself?
Last time.
Yeah, I don't actually think that these questions are appropriate.
But
These questions aren't appropriate. For somebody who's suffering from mental health problems, you're asking about his mental health. And the fact that, you know, did he try and kill himself?
right, the question that we ask everybody.
Yeah, but you can't ask him that. Do you not understand?
We can't discriminate. We've got to ask everybody.
But what you're doing is you're causing him harm. You see what's happened just then?
Right, well that's fine, but we need to ask these questions and if his GP is aware and everybody's aware of what's happening.
Well, yeah, of course they're aware.
Right, well
of
we
what's
still
happening.
need to ask questions. That's, you know, this is what the questions are set. It's not me that's asking, but the questions are set.
I know, but do you understand how this procedure could be causing him harm?
Yeah.
By having to go over that?
Yeah, but we've still got to ask the question.
I don't know how you can do it.
Right, well that's what we've got to have.
So what happens now that he's left?
If he's not able to carry on with it, we can always make another appointment.
I'm not going to allow him to come back here. His doctors won't allow him to come back here if he's going to
Well,
have another
put
psychiatric.
in the report that he's walked out and he's not prepared to come back.
Are you going to explain why? At what point he walked out?
Well, yeah, I can explain, but that'll go in the report.
I'll see if I can go and get him. See if I can get him to
Right,
come
it's
back.
up to you.
Well, I will go and get him.
Okay.
Si, you coming back?
No.
No, he's not coming back.
Okay.
And I'd like it to be noticed that there's questions about psychiatric illness that he's suffering from, which is being taught to without any, as far as I know, proper medical. You wouldn't tell me what your qualifications were.
Yeah.
If you're a psychiatric nurse and it's dealt with in a different way, can you understand the issues that are arising here?
Well, all I can put in that he's walked out and he's not happy to come back. Okay.
Right, have you explained why?
I'm putting in when he walked out. Okay.
Yeah, can you explain why?
Okay, I put down he's walked out because of the questions he was asking, suicidal thoughts.
And you're asking whether he actually tried to kill himself?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
that's
that-
one of the questions anyway, but I will put that in.
Well, could you say that's the point that he walked out?
Yeah.
I think it's atrocious, really. I don't know how you can do this. In fact, the last time he was admitted to hospital, one of his friends was turned down by Atos and killed himself.
That's not my concern.
Well, you're not concerned about people killing themselves because of these assessments.
But I don't accept questions.
But you do the job, don't you? Only following orders.
Hi, for the benefit of the cameras, it's taken me a lot to get here today, and just because I'm fit to come and speak here for 10 minutes does not mean I'm fit for work, and nor am I fit for work for DWP or Atos. The good thing that I've got with Atos is that they've passed me fit for work 3 times. 3 times I've overturned them at tribunal. But because I was contribution-based ESA, I don't get any benefit. So even if they do decide to watch this and do decide to try and sanction me, when you've got nothing, there's nothing they can take from you, so good luck with that. I worked at Atos for my sins for a brief period, doing incapacity benefit assessments, which were the forerunner to ESA, and the procedures much the same. Having done it from one side of the desk for incapacity benefit and been on the other side of the desk for the ESA, I can assure you that there's very little change. The Atos were brought in to do these assessments by the Labour Party, who now like to try and pass the buck and say it's the Tories and the Lib Dems. Agreed, the Tories and the Lib Dems have probably made it even more pernicious than it was before. They have kind of changed the rules in terms of the 1-year rule for getting benefit if you've got a partner who's working. And they've definitely made it more difficult for people to qualify for benefit. There are none of the parties at the moment doing anything to support people who require not charity, not a handout, their entitlement. I paid national insurance, as did most of you probably here, in good faith, going by the word insurance, that if I needed help, at some point, my money would be used to help those that needed it, and in return, if I was ever in need of help, I would be supported. Now, if any other insurance company tried to pull that one that you'd paid into for, in my case, 30 years, and then said, oh, we're no paying out, there would be a hue and cry. But successive governments who are doing this, they can't pass the buck. The SNP in Scotland are no better. They pass the buck. Oh, it's reserved to Westminster. Well, benefits well may be reserved to Westminster. The health of their Scottish citizens, when 73 people a week are dying because of these welfare robberies, not reforms, surely that is of some concern to them. I said earlier on, but not all of you were here, I find it really sad today that none of the mainstream parties are represented here. Martha from the Green Party and Tommy Sheridan from Solidarity were here, and credit to them. The rest of them don't appear to really give a toss. When I worked there, I didn't know when I went to work at Atos what I was letting myself in for. I thought I would be going there, assessing people and making sure that people who needed benefit would get their benefit. Sounded quite straightforward. What happened was I did a month training, which didn't prepare you at all for real life. Got launched into that Cadogan Street and ended up ill myself because I just could not do, once the penny dropped, what I was being expected to do, which was to set people up for a fail and then remove their benefit from them. I couldn't do it anymore. I have publicly apologised for any role I played in it, and it continues to be something that I deeply regret. What I have to do for my own sake is try and turn that negative into a positive, and I've been campaigning really, really hard against Atos. I've been very, very fortunate to have the support of my own political party, Solidarity, and they've been really good at helping me make contacts. I've had a lot of publicity in the press, and that publicity is not my publicity, it's their publicity. As best I can, it's to stand up for all of us, not just for me. The fact that UKIP are on the rise in Eastleigh causes me great concern. We have got Tory, UKIP, and the Lib Dems, UKIP and the Tories, first, second and third, three right-wing parties. We need to build a left alternative. We need to have politicians who will represent us, not fob us off. Joanne Lamont's my constituency MSP, has yet to reply to any of the emails I've sent her. Where I am at the moment in terms of my own campaign is that I want to unite people as best we can, not to have this wee campaign here, that wee campaign there. We all need to unite, because the bedroom tax might not affect me personally, but it affects people I know. Atos might not affect you personally, but it affects people you know, and put together we're definitely going to be stronger. Look at what happens. I've heard a lot of the bedroom tax being compared to the poll tax. What I'd like to say is, yeah, we get rid of the poll tax, but even more importantly, we get rid of warrant sales in Scotland, and that is something we achieved that I'm really, really proud of. At the moment, I'm waiting to take my appeal to the second-tier tribunal against Atos. I consistently hammer the press with information about Atos. Someone kindly set up a support page for me, and it's called Support Nurse Who Whistle Blows Against Atos. What I've used that for is putting out lots and lots of information about, from the inside of Atos, how they trick people into losing their benefits. And finally, I have been put in touch with a guy from the United Nations who has helped me to file a complaint against the British government for their action against the sick and disabled.
That's Atos, a French company, not even British. Now it comes down to the government with their strong and stable mantra pre the 2017 and the general election. That's what we heard, wasn't it? Strong and stable, strong and stable. If you don't remember, just watch this.
Eclectic method.
Strong and stable and wrong. With a strong and stable. The strong and stable. Hate and evil. With a strong and stable and wrong. With a strong and stable government.
Life is still a struggle, and when they hear we have no plans, I don't give a shit, just the privileged few. Having control, have everything our own way. And when they hear we have no plans, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to be calling a snap election. I have just called a general election. No. Hope. Struggle. It's going to be tough. No. Hope. Poverty. No. Hope. Difficult times ahead. No. Hope. Tyranny. Jeremy Corbyn thinks differently. Great for change in the country. Jeremy Corbyn thinks differently. No, look, I'm in a different galaxy. Jeremy Corbyn thinks differently. I think work is the best route out of poverty. Jeremy Corbyn thinks differently. What Jeremy Corbyn has shown is that he's motivated by compassion and decency. He talks about austerity to help people in need. Irresponsible behaviour in companies. I want to deport more refugees. Seek protection elsewhere. Seek protection elsewhere. 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 Seek protection elsewhere. They must return elsewhere. Seek protection elsewhere. Elsewhere. People trying to come here to the UK. Food bank Britain. Food bank. Food bank Britain. Really worried. Food bank. Food bank Britain. Food bank. Food bank Britain. Food bank. Brexit. Exit. Get on with it. Brexit. Exit. Get on with it. Brexit. Where you come from. Exit. Must return home. Exit. Get on with it.
Strong and stable and stable and
Wrong.
with a strong and stable. The strong and stable
Hate and evil.
with a strong and stable and
Wrong.
with a strong and stable government.
Life is still a struggle. Food bank Britain. You'll get the minimum. Life is still a struggle. Food bank Britain. Success is based on merit, but forget about it. Food bank Britain. Be really worried about the future for Britain. Food bank Britain. Success is based on merit, but forget about it. Food bank, just privileged few. Having control. Have everything our own way. We have hands.
To strengthen our hand.
But what I am is hard-headed. Go out there. Make your vote count. I'm not going to be calling a snap election.
That's funny as anything, isn't it, eh? That's Theresa May saying strong and stable, strong and stable, strong and stable. But, and there's a massive but here, is the Conservatives plagiarised that from Mein Kampf. And if you don't believe me, check this out. So in summing up then, you've got a government that persecutes the disabled, physically disabled, the mentally ill. It's persecuted Ken Livingstone by virtue of smearing him, and also they've plagiarised their own mantra from Mein Kampf. If that doesn't tell you anything to know about this government, the fact that they're Nazis, then you really, really do need to evaluate what your opinions are of Adolf Hitler and Nazis, because in my opinion, this government are no different. And here's Ian Duncan Smith again, just to remind you.
Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people. Look, work actually helps free people.
In leaving you, as I've said every time, think for yourselves, do your research, look around. Now, I've known about why Adolf Hitler treated the physically disabled and the mentally ill for years, because when I was at school, I asked the right questions, but they didn't want to answer, such as 11 million victims in the concentration camp, 6 million Jews, who were the other 5 million? Well, it also comes into that, the 1.5 million gypsies and travellers that never get mentioned for some reason. Never mention them, and the reason why is because people out there still demonise and persecute these people. Local councils, police forces, they're using PSPOs to move them around, all sorts of arcane laws to persecute the travellers and gypsies. But when you do that, people, just remember this, is you're no different to Adolf Hitler when you do that, because 1.5 million went in his death camps. So be very careful what you do with the travellers in future. They're good people, just good people, leave them alone. And in finishing, as usual, all the links are in the description. And you've seen this out on the bus with the people. Get out there, people. Look for yourselves. Don't take their word for it. Take my word for it. They're Nazis. But part 3 will be coming up soon. And just to leave you with a very poignant reminder of exactly what these people have done to people, I just want you to read what I'm leaving you with and just concentrate on it and focus on it and just think to yourself, wow. That's the government that are responsible for this. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in part 3. If you haven't seen part 1, why not? Get on it. But hopefully I'll see you in part 3. Apathy is no longer an option. Yeah.